Well, I'm busy doing this. Joe is away sunning himself on holiday. But he's found time to visit an amazing garden in the Dordogne, which is about as different from this as could be imagined.
Well, it takes a lot to get me up this early, crack of dawn, when I'm on holiday. But what an incredible spot this is. It's amazing. Looking over the River Dordogne, the mist is rising, the light is just perfect. And look, we've got hot air balloons on cue. It's magical. Marqueyssac is a 17th century castle in southwest France, built on a ridge 130 metres above the valley floor. Originally it had very formal gardens, then its design was changed by Julien de Serval, who planted thousands of box. The gardens continued to thrive until just after the First World War, when gradually they fell into disrepair, until Kléber-Rossillon bought the land in 1996 and in just 1 year restored the gardens to the masterpiece that you see today. So a year's restoration, an incredible amount of work obviously happened here to turn it into this. But what was it like originally, this area of the garden?
Well, it used to be mixed borders, but the box grew very tall, so I came with a chainsaw and cut everything just tall, and you had just a piece of wood that tall, and from that it grew with round shapes. The garden developed itself, so I said, oh, that's nice. And after that, I just told it, just do it more round, more round, more round, that's all.
When de Serval was laying out the space originally, what was he aiming for? Was it a traditional French style, would you say?
It was at that time, it was the new style which we call Napoleon III, Napoleon III. Yeah. And at that time they designed the round layout of all the parts.
Everything's always curved, there's no, very few straight lines.
Yes. And he had his ideas from Italy.
You can see the influence there actually as you look back at that with the trees. It's so simple, isn't it? But it's, again, it's just a stunning view. So there's no English influence here?
It was called the English style, but it is not English. I don't think so.
There's a bit of English style here. We like to use our box as well.
Jardin à l'anglaise.
Ah, jardin anglaise, oui. What about these yuccas? Were they here originally?
They were here, but the gardeners wanted me to cut them because they said that's not proper for a chateau. But my idea was to keep them because the spikes, which contrast with the round shapes of the box, that's Marqueyssac.
Marqueyssac is a combination of the highly manicured and the completely untamed, surrounded by some of the most stunning views in France. The woodland covers the majority of the park with plenty of views and little corners to rest or take in the atmosphere, and they're all linked together with the original box-lined alleys. I love this long tunnel here, again created out of box, but it's nice and cool when the sun beats down on you, isn't it? So how did this come about? Was this already here?
Oh, it was the small box hedge that grew loose for 150 years, so it became 20 feet tall.
And you just tied it together
and we just tried to bend them.
Yeah.
That is quite difficult to bend them, but we did it so to make this arch.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, I love this part of the garden, Kléber. It just shows, it's putting the same elements, but in a different order in a way, and creating a real feeling of space. It's stunning.
We had to cut and prune the trees in order to have the light coming on the esplanade.
It's very different from the more busy box in the garden. It's got an identity all of its own.
Yes. In the park you have real different places with different atmospheres.
Yeah. This is much more contemporary, this part of the garden here.
Yes, it's in contrast with the round shapes of the bastion, and these blocks, they have just tumbled over the box hedge, and that's just blocks which I designed with my sugar cubes on breakfast.
So you designed this part of the garden?
Yes.
You're responsible. I think it fits perfectly. There's so much box in this garden. How much clipping is there to do here? And you must use machines to do it with.
No, it's just with hand shears all over. And it takes about, I would say, 8 people for 3 months for the whole park. But around the castle we do it 3 or 4 times a year.
What about the ones down on the side? Because it also spills down the mountainside. So how does that get looked after?
We have to clip the man, a rope, taken in ropes, in order to assure that they do not fall.
I was wondering how that they maintain those. But also, you know, the whole garden is made up, you know, predominantly of box and of trees. But here, I can see you've actually introduced some flowers. Are you softening now? Are you going to put more flowers in?
We just have these plumbagos, and naturally we have the cyclamen for Naples, and these are the only flowers that we have.
That is it. Yeah.
It's you look at the shapes more than look at the color. It's an evergreen garden, which we can visit at any time of the year. So even in winter, it's very beautiful.
I thought that looked fantastic, and certainly I shall make my way to Marqueyssac as soon as I can. And if you want to see it, it is open every single day of the year. And what I loved most about that was the way that a simple idea was taken and then carried to an extreme. It wasn't really about box, it was about having a thought, a notion, and just making it fly. And that elevates gardening above the humdrum into something truly creative.